Hello everybody. The title of my presentation today is Using Technology to Empower International University Students with Disabilities. Let me start by saying that college and university campuses are well equipped with a wide variety of technological resources, services and assistive technology for students with different disabilities. But this particular population perhaps does not get enough attention, and the issues they face, the unique issues they face, are often left unaddressed because really they can be quite complex. There is limited research on international students in higher education studying English as a second language, and even less regarding those students with disabilities. The majority of research, really, in the past few decades has explored students with disabilities more as an aggregate group rather than breaking them down into particular populations. And although multicultural education has certainly become a focal point of virtually every post secondary educational program, technology integration, specifically for culturally and linguistically diverse students with disabilities, is a relatively new frontier still. But there does continue to be a kind of a disconnect, if you like, between what is known about educating students with disabilities from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds and how these students access and utilize technology. There's no doubt that international students with disabilities do face challenges and barriers in addition to grappling with the same obstacles as international students without disabilities and domestic students with disabilities. International students with disabilities experience a unique set of circumstances. There are external institutional factors to contend with, such as the formal documentation required to receive disability support services, as well as the wide variation in available supports in different higher education settings. More internal factors would relate to, for example, self disclosure and self advocacy skills. Students may not have very well developed self advocacy skills and are not accustomed to, speaking up for themselves when it comes to something like this. And of course, you have the student's own understanding of their disability. There may be variations there because of diverse cultural backgrounds. International students may be simply unaccustomed to requesting help or have limited knowledge of disability supports and have not much experience of this previously. There's the possibility that some students may have never been documented because they were able to cope in their former educational setting and, were never actually diagnosed. Many countries and cultures identify disability differently. For example, some international students who are identified with a learning disability in the US might actually be considered as not having a disability in their home country as such. So, convincing international students to avail of disability support services and to undergo a formal assessment can be difficult. There's the fear of stigma, it's costly. So, really, there is a risk that international students with disabilities will not integrate successfully into the campus community because disabilities may impact their ability to interact with others, both academically and socially. So, this can lead to feelings of isolation, if not marginalization. Although traditionally seen as separate concerns, second language learners and students, for example, with learning disabilities, may share similar support issues that range from reading and writing challenges that need to be addressed to stereotyping and even stigma. If you take reading challenges faced by international students studying in a second language, they may, on the face of it, appear quite similar to the reading challenges faced by students with reading related learning disabilities. For writing, the written compositions produced by students with literacy related learning disabilities can appear similar to the written product of students studying in a second language also. Similarly, students with disabilities, sometimes struggle with negative stigma associated with disability. Um, some students with disabilities choose not to declare their disability due to the stigma that may be associated with the particular label or labeling. Just like international students may suffer from unfair stereotyping as a result of cultural or language barriers. That being said, students today in general have been more thoroughly tested for physical and learning disabilities than any previous generation. I think this group is more aware also of the role assistive technology in particular can play in their academic success and generally view content and technology as inseparable, really. The research does suggest that second language learners may benefit from the use of assistive technology. This technology, traditionally designed to support students with disabilities, for example, learning disabilities, can be effectively integrated into the curriculum to support the academic performance of university second language learners. Both current literature and the Universal Design for Learning model that I'll refer to later on does suggest that literacy-based assistive technology, while traditionally designed to assist students with learning disabilities, can indeed benefit learners studying in a second language. Luckily, today, assistive technology has come a long way, particularly in the last few years. The older assistive technology devices could be rather clunky and difficult to use or even transport. Instead of using devices designed just for one purpose today, such as text to speech, students can now download apps, for example, on the devices they already use. This makes it much easier for students to carry their assistive technology with them. With older assistive technology devices, the student using device might feel like they stood out. Now, students with special needs can use assistive technology without this stigma, if you like, attached to it. As technology has developed, so too have the learning technologies used with all students with disabilities, including international students. Mobile devices and especially tablet computers include a range of assistive features that can benefit language learners with disabilities, and we'll see examples of these. We have free or low-cost tools, some of which are embedded in devices or apps that students already use, and these can be quite helpful. Let's look at some of the digital tools that educators perhaps can use to meet the individual needs of their students. For students who are blind or visually impaired, for example, many devices such as Chromebooks come with audiovisual assistance, and these Chromebooks have a built-in screen reader called ChromeVox, which reads content out loud for users on the Chrome browser. Chromebooks also have features that make on-screen content easier to read, such as screen magnifiers, high contrast mode, and select speak. So educators can also actually plug in or pair a Braille keyboard with Bluetooth if students need Braille support. And popular cloud-based applications such as G Suite for Education and Microsoft Office 365 also have dictation capabilities, allowing students to type by using their voice. For students who are deaf or hard of hearing, we have FM systems. These are wireless devices that directly transmit sounds to a hearing aid. We have these to communicate clearly with students who have hearing loss, even in a noisy classroom, for example. Hearing aids can be connected to some tablets via Bluetooth, and tablets do include a mono option in the sound settings for students who may have better hearing in one ear. For teachers using video technology in the classroom, there are educational apps such as Flipgrid with closed caption features, as well as video conferencing tools such as Microsoft Teams, which comes with live captioning and subtitles. We have automatic closed captioning in Google Slides, which allows educators to turn on closed captioning in the presenter mode to have what they say aloud appear in text at the bottom of their screen in real time. This could be useful for students with hearing impairments or indeed learning disabilities, and importantly, for English learners. Regarding speech disabilities, speech-to-text software and word prediction tools can assist students with speech disabilities in communicating with faculty and their peers. For example, Office 365 applications have Dictate, an artificial intelligence enabled add-in that allows students to speak into a microphone and have their speech converted into text or onto the computer. For students who need mobility assistance, one way institutions could optimize classrooms for all students is by adopting flexible furniture, a key component of a modern living environment, such as standing desks or wobble desks, for example. These give students more freedom and comfort to move around in the classroom. Another example is having students use interactive displays or touchscreen monitors if they aren't physically able to use a keyboard or computer mouse. We have tactile screen settings that can be changed from swipe movements to tapping movements, which makes it easier to control for certain students. And you can lock the screen display also to reduce movement. And of course, assistive touch in general is very helpful for those who have mobility or motor skills issues. Next, for learning cognitive and developmental disabilities, there are tools such as memory aids, audiobooks, and text-to-speech systems, which are especially helpful for students who need assistance with learning, attention, and organization. One particular tool is Microsoft's Immersive Reader, which was specifically designed to support students with dyslexia and dysgraphia. With the Immersive Reader, students can have text read out loud and broken into syllables, even in other languages. And you can use a line reader to focus on one or two sentences. You can adjust the font or contrast and background of text. It also has a feature that color codes different parts of speech, and it includes a picture dictionary. Microsoft's Tell Me feature allows students to access commands on Office 365 applications without having to remember them. And there are also downloadable fonts such as Open Dyslexic, which can enhance readability and reading speed for students with dyslexia. I have selected some more digital tools here that relate to different, though common, disabilities among university students, including international students. In fact, it's truly incredible how many different applications and software programs are out there made just to help students with their education. So regarding mobile applications, the first one there, Learning Ally, grants students with access to a plethora of audiobooks in a digital accessible format. How'd You Say is a pronunciation dictionary which encourages students to recognize how words are pronounced by listening to them repeatedly. Easy Spelling Aid is designed to help improve students' spelling and literacy performance, and it also trains them to comprehend words and expands their vocabulary. As regards software, Win is a software designed for dyslexic students to convert their physical documents into digital files using a scanning and optical character recognition feature. LiveScribe, as mentioned before, has a digital pen and software that allows individuals to conveniently convert handwritten class notes into computer files. It's an all-in-one microphone, speaker, and storage device. And Got It Real Writer is a fantastic tool for students looking for a good word processor equipped with many assistive accessibility features. And some of these features include text-to-speech tools, proofreading, and word prediction. Useful tools for visually impaired students during their college years include, for example, the mobile application VoiceBrief. VoiceBrief will read aloud your customized content, and it's set up to read your email, tweets, text messages, etc. And the most recent version has been updated with a more natural sounding voice. As regards software, we have VoiceOver. VoiceOver is a software for visually impaired students using the OS X software for Mac. It has plenty of customizable keyboard navigation and voice settings. Additionally, it covers over 30 languages in text and supports third-party applications, including Braille displays. NVDA screen reader has similar features to VoiceOver in that it features Braille display support and has a speech synthesizer. And this software is for Windows and PC users. Zoom Text allows students to make text appear bigger when needed and listen to text being read out loud. Therefore, students who have a hard time seeing don't have to keep straining their eyes during their studies, and blind individuals can easily have text read to them so they don't have to worry about not being able to read. Autistic students often experience difficulty in building relationships with their peers and communicating with them. As a result, it can be a challenge, obviously, to maneuver through university and college. To help them, we have mobile applications like Visual Steps. This is an instructional application with step-by-step guides on how to get something done. It's great for those who understand things best visually. As regards software, we have mind reading, which trains autistic students to recognize emotions and other people's faces and voices. And, this is critical for communicating with other students and peers, especially for group projects. I've included job training here as well, job interview training. This is perfect for those planning on transitioning into the world of work. This software is designed to prepare individuals for the social experience of interviewing for a job. It's a simulator allowing people to practice essential skills and prepare for an interview. Those who are hearing impaired or deaf may have difficulty, of course, in communicating with others. They rely heavily on sign language and written or printed text, and not being able to hear sound can be difficult in a classroom or lecture hall, but it's not impossible to do well, obviously, and the following tools are helpful in making sure students are not missing out on lecture material and communicating with their peers. So the mobile application Dragon Dictation can be used to record and transcribe class lectures so you can participate in class and review the lecture from the text. As regards software, I've selected Dragon as a fantastic way for non-deaf individuals to communicate with others quickly, as this software will transcribe what they are saying instantly. There are some resources out there as well, designed to help students with ADHD to maintain focus on their work and get their studying done. Examples of mobile applications include Focus at Will. This is an effective application to help ADHD students focus on their studies. Having ADHD makes getting distracted incredibly easy, but with this application you can set a schedule to complete tasks and stick to those tasks to completion. It uses specific types of music, for example, to help you focus and get your studying done. Habit RPG is a great way to gamify your tasks. All the things you need to do each day are turned into little monsters you must defeat by actually completing the task. So your character progresses in the game as you complete more of your important tasks, like completing homework assignments and attending classes. As regards software, Read and Write can help ADHD students tremendously by having text-to-speech output. Hearing the words spoken to you will oftentimes help a student better comprehend what they are reading. Evernote is a fantastic way to keep track of all your notes, thoughts, and to-do lists. It can be used across all devices and significantly help to not forget anything and stay organized. MyNote is a unique way to outline your thoughts and notes, and using this can help some with ADHD to better retain information they are learning and to stay focused with how interactive this program is. There are many resources from mobile applications to computer software to help students with speech impairments and to help them make the most of their post-secondary education. Examples include the mobile application Prologue to Go. It's one of the most used assistive communication applications available today. It has natural sounding text to speech voices and over 7,000 words with pictures, and it's expandable. Um, we have It's also great for anyone with speech impairment to practice pronunciation and good speech patterns. We have Speech Assistant AAC. It's an easy to use application where the user can create categories for what they need to talk about the most and easily tap on the words to form sentences and communicate with others. And it's also useful for practicing speech and is customizable. Verbally can be found on Apple products only and is another one of the leading applications for those with speech disabilities. The layout of the most commonly used words reduces the amount of taps necessary for the user to effectively communicate with another. And it's also a free application, and you may choose between male and female voices. Software includes, for example, Dragon, a widely recognized speech to text program, which can also read what you write in a natural language. And support for this software is extensive and easy to use. Natural Reader has a free online portion where you can type in text or copy and paste text and it will read it back aloud. And this is a great option for those with just internet access and needing to communicate with someone else. There are several voices to choose from with different accents as well, which is useful, particularly for language learners. Ivona is constantly researching and developing text-to-speech voices that can naturally read whatever you type. The nice thing about UDL is that it doesn't really matter if a problem is because of a disability or a language barrier. The principles will help the student learn. Adult students in particular benefit from two major aspects of UDL. One, its emphasis on flexible technology, and two, the variety of instructional practices, materials, and learning activities. English as a second language students and those with disabilities appreciate the multifaceted ways content is presented. UDL and assistive technology are not one and the same, even programs that provide assistive technology will find that students benefit from UDL. Assistive technology is extraordinarily helpful and learner-centered, but it still places the burden of adaptation on the user, whereas in contrast, the UDL approach places the burden of adaptation on the curriculum. And the UDL approach maximizes the use of technology, but does not eliminate the need for assistive technology. So, for example, a learner with visual problems who uses a magnifier to read computer screens will still need to use this assistive technology device in a UDL classroom. The benefit of a universally designed curriculum is that it serves all learners, whereas assistive technology serves only those students identified as having special needs. One additional thing to remember about UDL is that it does not mean you should use technology randomly or indiscriminately. Instead, educators must think carefully and thoughtfully about how to make existing material accessible to students who either learn differently or require accommodation. It's important to have institutional support in leveraging technology. Digital accessibility is enshrined in existing disability legislation, including Section 504 and ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. And having institutional buy-in is important. Having investment in digital tools and professional development around that helps to transform teaching and learning because technology has proven to be effective in providing new ways for all students to learn and for educators and students to interact better. Universities should work strategically to maximize educational and assistive technologies, bolstered by UDL principles, of course, to ensure that digital learning is accessible to all learners, including those with disabilities or those who have limited English proficiency. University and college systems should really explore the use of assistive technology to support international students with disabilities. And a key concept to universal design is that content born digital should be born accessible. This means that materials created specifically for a digital platform, for example, websites, webinars, digital documents, etc., should be accessible right from the beginning. And the curb cut principle is the idea that some accommodations intended for specific audiences provide benefits to others as well. So this same principle applies to digital accommodations. It can be very helpful to identify some accessibility fixes that are likely to have a greater impact than others. For example, captions are essential for students who are deaf or hard of hearing, but are also beneficial to second language learners or anyone in a noisy environment. There are questions that one must be mindful of and ask when deciding upon the use of technology. What is the technology for? Is it for a course? Is it for a suite of courses, a module, a particular activity? Do the compatibility and interoperability features of one product work well with the features of other products? What are the learning objectives and outcomes, and how does technology fit in with those? And does technology earn its place in the classroom? It must be used with a purpose, for a purpose, and be most effective for all learners. Technology, of course, needs to be inclusive. Accessibility is incredibly important. Functionality, tools, and technology platforms must be technically useful, physically accessible to a variety of different learners, for example, and pedagogically rigorous. Adaptability is important. Technology should be adaptable for both learners and educators. Feasibility is important. Implementation of the technology must be feasible for all learners, and systems must align. Technology that's already been used and its accessibility features should align with the accessibility features of other devices and platforms used in the university. In other words, the different technologies being used must be interoperable. There are obviously ongoing challenges. For example, administrators and faculty need ongoing coaching to help them develop the skills they need to effectively implement technology to support students. And often, it is a case where educators are basically left on their own, finding out that perhaps a particular software is not adaptable or does not teach what it purports to teach or does not support what is actually happening in the classroom. So these are challenges that need to be contended with. But there needs to be obviously ongoing evaluation and improvement of the way systems operate. And of course, one has to be mindful of the fact that technology alone cannot guarantee equity or accessibility. These are things that must be implemented in addition to technology. I'd like to finish the presentation with this notion that for most people, technology makes things easier, but for people with disabilities, and this includes international students with disabilities, technology makes things possible. Thank you for your attention. My email address is there, monsell@uab.edu, if you wish to contact me for any additional insights or if you require a list of references. Again, thank you very much.